The movie begins by showing three men who work in a tree plantation high up in the mountains. Togar tells his co-workers about the death of their colleague Sugi, who died in his sleep. People thought Sugi died of a heart attack, but he didn't have any known heart problems. Togar explains that Sugi had been experiencing sleep paralysis. Sugi had gone home after sunset, and he claimed to have seen Ayu, a woman, wearing a red dress in the middle of the tree plantation. When Sugi went to approach Ayu, she suddenly disappeared. Later that night, Sugi started hearing someone singing. After hearing the singing, Sugi began having seizures and was shouting, "Sorry, Madam Ayu," as if someone was choking him. Soon after, Sugi died. After hearing Togar's story, one of Togar's co-workers thinks it's all nonsense. This co-worker has worked on the plantation for many years and has never experienced anything like what Togar described. The co-worker then goes to do his night shift. While on duty, he drinks a lot of alcohol. Suddenly, someone calls out his name, but he doesn't pay much attention. Then, the co-worker sees the lights start flickering. He also sees a shadow by the door. Immediately after, he sees a woman's severed head floating in the air. This disembodied head attaches a rope around the co-worker's neck and pulls, hanging him to death. As a result, this second worker also ends up dying there on the plantation. This is the tea plantation that belonged to William Sounder, who was a Dutchman. In just 1 week, 5 workers at this plantation died by suicide. The story then jumps ahead by 3 months. We now see a couple who have just returned from their honeymoon. The couple is Sutan and Rara. Rara has now become the owner of the tea plantation that previously belonged to her father, William. When Sutan and Rara arrive at the plantation, Sutan sees a woman standing in the middle of the mountains. After Sutan and Rara arrive at the plantation, it starts raining heavily, even though it's the afternoon. This is unusual, as they've never seen rain in the afternoon there before. Still, they think the rain will bring good luck for them. However, due to the unpredictable weather, the crop yield has decreased. The weather keeps changing. Sometimes it gets very hot, and other times it gets extremely cold at night. This is the first time this has happened at the plantation in the last 20 years. At night, all the workers at the plantation start talking to each other. They want to know if Rara, the new owner, is aware of the upcoming deaths that might happen there. Togar decides to go ask Joko about this. The workers are quite scared, because after Ayu disappeared, strange things have been happening at the plantation. Joko tells Togar that Ayu has actually gone to the Netherlands, and she hasn't disappeared anywhere. Joko then tells Togar to just focus on his work. At night, Rara and Sutan are talking to each other. Sutan tells Rara that he's been seeing strange things happening since they came back to the house, but Rara tells him it's all just an illusion and tells him to go to sleep. During the night, Rara starts feeling pain, and her body begins aching. She hears the name Trinil being called out. Sutan then shouts and calls for Joko to come help. When Joko arrives, Sutan tries to help Rara, but he gets thrown away. Joko then comes in, reads some lines, and throws water on Rara, which makes her normal again. After that, Joko tells Sutan to leave Rara's room. The next day, Sutan apologizes to Joko for the incident that happened the previous night. Sutan tells Joko that since they've come back to the house, strange things have been happening to him. However, Joko believes he can never make Rara feel uncomfortable in her own home, since she was born there. Another worker, who cannot speak, is listening to Sutan and Yoko's conversation. While Sutan is reading a book about mental health, the song on the radio suddenly changes itself. Sutan tries to change the radio station multiple times, but the same woman's laughter can be heard. Feeling worried, Sutan goes to his room. There, he sees Rara pointing to something outside the window. Outside, they see the same severed woman's head that they had seen earlier. Sutan calls Joko back for help. Right then, the lights in the house go off. They realize that Rara is no longer in the room. When Rara comes back inside, they see that she is floating in the air, levitating. Seeing this, Joko starts praying. His prayers seem to make Rara return to normal. The next day, Sutan is reading a newspaper and sees an article about an exorcist. But this exorcist is Sultan's old school friend, Yusuf. Sutan decides to go meet Yusuf at his office. Yusuf is a psychiatrist, but he is also interested in the supernatural. Sutan asks Yusuf for help to cure his wife Rara, because last night she was possessed during a sleep paralysis episode. Yusuf agrees to help them. The next day, Yusuf comes to Sultan's house. He is surprised to find out that Sutan is related to William. Sutan tells Yusuf that when William was sick, Sutan used to work as his nurse. Yusuf leaves some water in Sultan's room, saying that if the water turns black by the next morning, it means Rara is in danger. Just then, Rara comes in and gets angry to see Yusuf in her room. Yusuf leaves. At the dinner table that night, Rara tells Sultan that she is perfectly fine and the house is not haunted. She says Sultan should not bring strangers. As they are talking, the lights suddenly go off and a window opens on its own. At the same time, Sultan sees the severed head of the woman on the table and she calls out Trinil. Seeing this, Sultan faints and becomes unconscious. He has a fever. When Sultan regains consciousness, he says she is back. Rara tells Yusuf to get rid of the ghost as she just wants it gone. But Yusuf says he would need more evidence first. Yusuf then notices that the water he had left in Sultan's room has turned black, which he had said would be a sign that Rara is in danger. Yusuf notices that the newspaper clipping shows many important people attending William's wedding. However, the ages of the people are missing after William's death. Rara goes to her father's grave where she remembers him and cries. Yusuf learns from a book about ghosts that the spirit they are dealing with is a woman. Yusuf tries to call the soul and goes towards William's room, but Rara stops him from going to her father's room. Yusuf tells Sultan that according to an old Javanese book, the spirit they are dealing with is called Kuyang. All of this information is heard by a silent worker who cannot speak. Rara tells Yusuf to get rid of the ghost, but Yusuf says he is hungry and wants to eat first. When Yusuf removes the cover from the food, Sultan gets scared, thinking he will see the woman's severed head again. But this time, nothing like that happens. Instead, Rara sees the woman's severed head floating in the air behind Sultan. Seeing this, they all get scared. To get rid of the ghost, they have to help and support Yusuf. The next day, Yusuf comes to stay with them, and Sultan gives him William's old office to use. Yusuf is looking at the family photos when he notices one of Rara's family photos is upside down. He turns the photo back right side up. Yusuf then asks Joko where Ayu has gone. Joko says that according to the newspaper, Ayu has gone to the Netherlands, which was William's home country. However, Joko admits that no one knows for sure where Ayu has gone. At night, Yusuf tries to call the spirit, but Rara refuses to help him do that. Rara says that if the evil spirit is haunting them, it must mean the spirit has a message to give them. Suddenly, they hear a woman knocking at the door, but there is no one there when they go to open it. The lights start flickering on and off. They see the severed head of the woman again. She has come to take her body back from Rara. Yusuf tries to stop her, but the spirit throws him aside and continues to follow them. All the doors of the house are closed now. The woman's spirit moves towards Rara, but Yusuf steps in front of Rara and grabs the spirit's head. He then throws the head outside and the spirit disappears. They realized that the spirit they had been seeing was Ayu's spirit. Quietly, Yusuf goes to check William's room, because after William's death, Ayu had disappeared. Suddenly, Rara realizes that Yusuf had gone to check her father's room. At the factory, the workers notice that the tea leaves are starting to get worms. A worker comes asking about Togar, as he has not been seen for 2 days. The worker then hears a radio playing the same song coming from the warehouse. When the worker goes to investigate, they find Togar's dead body hanging there. After seeing this, the workers don't want to stay. Joko tries to reason with them, but they see it as risking their lives, so they leave. The next day, Ayu finds out about all the deaths that the Joker had kept hidden from him, and the police don't know about them either. It turns out all these workers died from sleep paralysis. Rara refuses to tell anyone about this. When Yusuf comes back, Rara gets angry at him for going to her father's room. Yusuf tells Rara that after coming here, Sultan had seen Ayu, after which Rara got sleep paralysis, and now the spirit is haunting them. Yusuf gives them a dagger and salt so they can sleep safely. Sultan is very worried, but Rara somehow gets her to sleep. Yusuf tells Ayu's spirit that if it gives him a sign, he can try to help it. Yusuf then hears the same song playing and sees an old woman in the mirror with the same worker standing behind her who couldn't speak. Yusuf takes the worker and goes to the old woman's house. This old woman, named Widow, tells them that there is no way to get rid of Ayu's spirit, but Yusuf will have to join Ayu's severed head back to her body so the curse can end. Ayu died at 2 a.m., and Yusuf will have to do this at the same time. Sutan overhears this plan and gets angry. He cuts off Yusuf's head, killing him. Sutan then tells the same worker to bury Yusuf's body. With Yusuf gone, Ayu's spirit haunts Rara again. Rara tries to run and save herself but gets hurt in her feet. She locks herself in a room, but Ayu does not leave her alone. Rara hears Ayu's voice on the phone and sees herself dancing on the TV in front of her. Rara shoots at the TV, but Ayu's head comes out of it, separated from her body. Sutan then goes to the plantation shed and digs out Ayu's body. He puts her head in a box and joins it back to her body. After this, Ayu's spirit goes away. Now everything seems normal again. Joko tells Rara and Sutan that they need to bury Ayu. Sutan tries to bribe Joko, but she refuses. Rara then threatens Joko, warning her not to do this. That same night, when Ayu goes to take a bath, the door opens, and she thinks it's Sutan, but Rara is standing there, so Ayu has come back. Ayu then throws Sutan out the window, killing him. Ayu, who has come back as a dead body, then tries to kill Rara too. But just then, Joko arrives with Imam. Imam saves Rara from Ayu, which saves Rara's life. But Rara is very sad, as no one ever really understood her. Rara then has a dream where she sees her father's spirit, which tells her that Ayu needs to forgive, and Rara needs to let go of her sorrows and anger. So Ayu's grave is made together with the graves of William and Sutan. Rara starts visiting their graves every day. The police also come to Rara and ask her about her husband's death. Rara tells them that Sutan was depressed and killed himself to get rid of her. As the movie ends, we see that Rara has changed. She even thanks Joko, and we see peace on the plantation. However, Ayu's hand suddenly comes out of the grave, hinting that Ayu will return again. And with that, the movie ends. I hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for amazing videos. See you in the next one.